Good morning, greetings everybody in North Carolina. Good morning and welcome companies, exporters, North Carolina trade and business experts. Welcome all of you to today's webinar. We're going to be talking about online business development tools and websites in particular. We appreciate that you've all taken the time to log on and join us today as we look at some of the challenges and some of the potential responses to the new business environment that seems to be unfolding all around us. So just while the last of the registrants log on, let's just introduce ourselves today. Starting with me, I guess. My name is Susanna Hardy, and I'm Chief Content Officer at IBT Online. So I get involved in everything that has to do with content for websites. That's search engine optimization or keywords or social media, anything content related. I'm really pleased that my colleague Samantha Sofici has kindly agreed to join me today and help out. And Samantha will be talking through some very North Carolina specific examples and a helping hand that we have. She is an experienced and valued business development manager, and she joins us today with endless good cheer as she helps companies sort of navigate the online world. She's based in Florida and is always happy to reach out by phone or by video, or in a less socially distanced world can come visit you in North Carolina to help in knowledge and experience with helping companies with the online tools. And we are also very delighted to have Michael Hubbard. He's the Director of International Trade at the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina. And Mike is responsible for developing and implementing all of the state's international strategy, basically for promoting North Carolina products and services to the world, to markets everywhere in the world through export sales. He has a long list of accreditations from NASBITE to business professional, exporting customs compliance, all sorts of things. So is a wealth of information for all of you, whether it's in services or in manufactured products. Reach out to Mike for anything regarding the international side for North Carolina. Now, a quick word also about us, who we are. We're IBT Online, stands for International Business and Technologies. We're a private company. The headquarters in the US, although I'm actually sitting in the UK office, which is where we have most of our marketing team. And we're 100% focused on building, on hosting, on managing online tools for our clients. And basically these fall into two categories: websites and online marketing. And I guess perhaps our biggest unique selling point really is that we work, think, act globally online, and have done since our creation in 2002. We are very proud to be serving North Carolina through our online global program, which is one of the things we want to talk about today. So in today's agenda, we have a lot of we tried to put as much as possible into the webinar today, just to make it as information packed, as pragmatic, and with lots of helpful resources. But we have allocated time at the end for a Q&A. Please do pop your questions in. You can put them in the chat box, the chat section on the right-hand side of your screen. You should scroll down, there's a little chat box, put your question in there. And we've got someone creating, Joelle, my colleague, is creating questions and responses to you, and then we're going to get on to live Q&A at the end. So do keep putting that in. So we're going to start with a summary from Mike about what North Carolina Economic Development Partnership is doing today to help North Carolina companies. And then we're going to explore why and how we believe websites can help companies to stay in touch with your clients, for example, to get new prospects, to make sure your suppliers and your distributors are working well in today's environment, which is tough. And then we're going to look at some of the ways that exporters actually use these, and some case studies as well. And then get onto the North Carolina Online Global Program and a helping hand from the Economic Development Partnership in North Carolina, some of the assistance they put in place to help North Carolina companies get online globally, and help you all sort of try and mitigate some of the effects of and get the online business tools you need to survive and thrive. So without that, I'm going to hand the mic, the mic over to Mike. I'm going to hand the speech over to Mike to talk about the North Carolina resources for North Carolina businesses. Mike.
Thank you. Good morning. We'd like to thank all of you for joining us, and Susanna, Samantha, all of the IBT team. We'd like to thank you for presenting on website optimization and localization. Over the last 2 months, all of us have been forced to completely rethink the way we conduct our daily business, and we know now more than ever that having a strong and effective online presence and marketing strategy is just vitally important. Even though we're home, we're working in isolated and distant places, we can still sell all over the world. But the challenge that we face also presents us with an opportunity to take advantage of a number of resources available to us so we can survive right now and then thrive in the future. For a lot of companies here in North Carolina, we have resources available to assist you with the effort, particularly for small businesses. We have funding through the Small Business Administration STEP program that can provide financial assistance, and I'll touch on that in just a moment. To start off, many of you are already familiar with EDPNC. You know what we do. You've worked with us in various ways. But for those of you who are new to us, I'd like to just briefly tell you who we are and what we do. We were created 5 years ago by the North Carolina General Assembly as a nonprofit public-private partnership, and we took over various functions that were previously handled by the North Carolina Department of Commerce. Our functions fall into 5 main categories. You most likely hear about business recruitment as new companies come into North Carolina from all over the country and all over the world, but we do a lot more than that. For companies that are here, existing industries already, large or small, we have 8 regional representatives that can assist with anything from workforce to incentives to expansion grants. Those guys are immensely helpful to companies here in the state. For startups, we have a small business support group that can walk new companies through the process of setting up a business here in the state. We have a tourism team. All the advertisement that you see, print and media, print and TV advertisement, is all done out of the tourism office at EDPNC. The International Trade Division is my group, and we have a number of sources and programs that can assist North Carolina companies with providing export assistance. Susanna, we move on to the next slide. We can show kind of a brief overview of what we do. Our industry has we have 5 managers who specialize in specific industries, and we have 6 overseas offices located in Mexico, Canada, Europe, the Middle East, Hong Kong, and Japan. They can help companies with everything from distributor searches, partner searches, market research, that sort of thing. And through a grant this year, we have a presence in Southeast Asia based in Singapore to assist small businesses in that part of the world. That's particularly important right now, as a lot of manufacturing production for the last couple of years has been moving from China into places like Vietnam. So as that part of the world grows, it's an opportunity for us. We work with 2 different grants to promote exports. One is for small businesses, as I mentioned, STEP through the Small Business Administration, and one focused on North Carolina manufacturers through the Manufacturing Extension Partnership. And Samantha, if you'd like to forward to the next slide, just show you the staff and the different industries that we work with. Our team can assist companies here in the state, whether you're large or small companies in the industry. Even if it's not listed here, we can assist within the industry on everything from market research, intelligence, distributor and partner searches, certificates of free sale, regulatory questions, export compliance. Just reach out. We're happy to help. Some things like certificates of free sale, we actually didn't know that we weren't entirely positive we'd be able to see those through right now, as so many government offices are closed, but we do know that that's up and working. We're actually helping companies with that right now. So if we can provide assistance on that, please let us know. And I mentioned a moment ago that we have a grant for small businesses to assist with website optimization. The STEP grant offers small businesses $6,000 for this effort. And the amount was recently increased to $6,000 because SBA recognized the need for small businesses to have a strong and effective online presence. The decision to increase this amount was also based on the extraordinary ROI that it's already produced for small businesses that have taken advantage of it. After the webinar, just reach out. We'd love to talk to you about it and how we can get you started with that. And finally, before I pass it over to Susanna, I just want to let you, to remind everybody, check the edpnc.com website. We have COVID-19 resources on there, again, from everything from loans to workforce, anything on there. Please check that out. And if there's something that's not on there that we can help you with, please reach out to us. We update this constantly, so just let us know how we can help you. Thank you very much once again for joining us. And Susanna, I'll pass it off to you now. Thanks.
Thank you so much. That was great. Thanks, Mike. And now we're going to just dive right in and really just start, I guess, with a conversation about, why we think exporters need localized websites. That's why do we think North Carolina international businesses need another tool? I guess putting it at its bluntest, and I guess that this whole pandemic thing has made this even more clear. This is a global issue, and some of the solutions we're going to have to reach out to are also global. And I think one of the points that we want to be making in this webinar is that investing in your customer base, investing in your existing client base is going to help you to survive and thrive in this new environment. And from our point of view as well, just on a general point of view, greater geographic diversity means greater stability, lower risk. So one of the best ways of getting all this is just getting these effective online business development tools like localized websites. So I guess the route out of all of this, this mess that we're in at the moment for business will depend on each company's circumstances, but online is clearly one essential key. Now, what kind of online tools? Where do we start? How do we incorporate them into our everyday aspect of business life? All these things have to be sorted out and things. But websites and effective websites is a great place to start. Now, we talk to a lot of companies every day. We're in a very privileged position in that sense. We talk to our clients every day, and we talk to them in the US and Mexico and in the UK and Japan, wherever we do business globally. And at the moment, they're really focused on four main issues that we see continuously affecting business at the moment. And it's clearly looking after your employees, hence we're all working from home. It's managing cash flow, clearly. It's also about maintaining your existing relationships, your existing partnerships, supply chains. And fourthly, it's about generating sales, exports, business. Where do I get business today? And that's really what we're going to focus on now. That's what we do. That's, in terms of business, online business tools. That's what we're going to be talking about. So, let's think also about some of the impact that the COVID-19 has had. For us, we see very much that COVID-19 has really reinforced that online route. And, I guess the proof of that is we're all sitting in our homes. I'm sitting on a kitchen table, far away from at least a half hour from my office. But one of the things that we want to focus in today is about how that online route might have changed, not just for you, but for your clients. So in what way has your buyer persona, in what way has your client changed? How are they finding you these days? How are they interacting with you? How has that buyer's journey changed because of what's going on? And what are the tools that your buyer persona is using and that you should be using? So these are some of the questions we would like to ask companies and make sure that we're looking at here for this webinar. And I think we wanted to share this slide as well because, like many North Carolina's companies, I noticed on the registration list, a lot of you are manufacturers, and the B2B space, sometimes can suffer a little bit from what I would call the perfectly engineered syndrome. This is basically an engineering company, a B2B company who thinks deep down, we have such wonderful products, and they are wonderful, but they're so wonderful they just sell itself. And perhaps that makes B2B companies sometimes a little bit behind on the curve on terms of online websites, social media, online marketing, things like that. And I would suggest that the current situation and the current the COVID-19 social distancing and so on, has put a bit of a damper on that. I'd also like to add B2B e-commerce is 3 times the size of B2C e-commerce. So it's really important, even if you're B2B, B2C, or B2G, that's B to government, all get the right online tools for now, for the 21st century, for what's going on now. One of the examples we can also talk about is, especially if you're in the B2B world, a lot of you rely on a lot of trade shows. They're all canceled. We were talking with Reed, one of the largest trade show organizers in the world, and they were telling us that at the moment over 1,600 major, large international trade shows have been canceled. And they've not just been pushed back, many of them are just canceled this year. Because if you push them back, then you're pushing them back onto someone else's agenda already that already is there. And so it's a difficult one. And but there are lots of things you can do. There are lots of things you can do from your sales team strategies, from your online presence, from your website to your online marketing. And for us, we'll dive down in this a bit more when we talk about social media and marketing in our next North Carolina webinar, which is coming up. But for right now, I think that the core is make sure that you are really focusing on your existing customers. Drill down and focus on your core business and your international business as well as your core domestic business. And one of the things that we would recommend for the websites is really to focus on this notion of we're open for business. If someone's reaching out to you because they want to do business with you, they have to know, yes, we're open for business. We might all be working from home, but we're open for business. Tell your customers, tell your prospects how they can get in touch with you, how they can do business with you now. Think about new calls to actions as well that you might need to add to your website, a CTA, a call to action. Remember also that your distributors are going to be stressed at the moment. They're also working from home. They're also a bit stressed. How can you help them and your in-market partners? How can you help them via your website, via your online tools? You're not seeing them at those trade shows that you normally visit at. How can you help them now through your website? Let's talk about that too. But I don't want to just be, we don't want to just be all sort of negative. We think one of the most important things to do in the environment today is actually be prepared for the rebound. We don't know the shape of the rebound. We don't know if it's going to be a sort of a seesaw W, a V, whatever shape it's going to be. Where we could look for clues. We can look for clues in Southeast Asia, in China, in Germany, China and South Korea, some of the countries that are emerging quickly. But I think one of the big advantages of being a small and mid-sized enterprise, an SME, is that you're flexible and nimble, so that you can reshape and make sure that you're prepared for that rebound. The most important message we have is don't disappear from the radar. Make sure that you are still on the radar. And the radar at the moment is online. It's not in the trade shows. It's not on the visits. It's not even in the office. It's online. So make sure that you are on the radar. I wanted also to share this slide with you. It comes from one of our clients. He's in the aviation sector, and so as a company, they scrabbled around and said, what can we look at for a lead indicator? What's going to tell us when the rebound is going to happen in our sector, and what it's going to possibly look like? And so one of the things they track very closely is these IATA economics numbers, which is passenger numbers, particularly in Asia Pacific and China. And so they're following that very closely. And what they're seeing is that upward slope, which is that red line, that solid red line, the upward part of it is a much steeper recovery than anything that they saw either in the SARS epidemic or after 9/11. And that's actually interesting for them. It's also much faster. It's happening after a much shorter time period, less gradual. So the decline was hugely steep, from about 100% down to sort of 10 index. And that upward trajectory is much steeper as well. Again, we don't know if this is going to be, they think that there could be some seesawing coming up now, but that's one of the indicators they're looking at. And our I guess the lesson from us is, one, be nimble, but also make sure that you find your key indicator. What's going to help you identify the shape of the recovery, where that recovery is from. And my guess is, and our guess is, that you're going to be looking for something online. I guess you'll remember also from one of our very first slides, the first slide I put in, is to invest in your customer base, and that greater geographic diversity leads to greater stability. I wanted to add as well, apart from the aviation sector, actually this is just very hot off the press. It just came out a couple of days ago. Looking in the consumer sector, Hermes, the French luxury goods company, has just brought in at least $2.5 million, $2.7 million confirmed by the company in sales on the reopening day, on one day, the reopening day of their flagship store in Guangzhou last weekend. So that's an absolutely staggering sales figure. You know, so it's just one day. These are early indicators, but we would urge you, you know, find an indicator that suits you, that will help you prepare for that rebound. And in preparing for the rebound, let's talk about the online world. As of January 2020, more than 4.5 billion people across the globe were on the internet. Now that's, you know, 60% of the world population is on the internet. That's January or December 2019. We don't have numbers as of the first quarter of 2020, but the indications, our initial indications from people like Statista, Hootsuite, We Are Social, is that it's about 5 billion. So something like 450 million people went online for the first time ever just in the last 2-3 months. I would also highlight that number, 6 hours and 45 minutes. That's the average amount of time spent per day average on the internet. That has also increased. Early indications are that it's well over 8 hours. I think if there's one takeaway from this, it's that across the globe, your customers, your prospects, your future distributors, your existing distributors are all online. And one of the things they're doing mostly online is talking and communicating. They're all communicating. So we said, you know, 60% of the world's online, 50% of the world of social media penetration is talking. And again, that 3.8 billion number on the left there, that has increased significantly in the last 2 months. And anyone with kids at home as well now know exactly how much time they spend communicating. But it's not just kids, it's business. And we're going to show you some numbers on that as well, to show you, particularly in B2B and in markets, what numbers, what some of those numbers can mean for your business. I think one, you know, we tend to divide online tools into 2 interrelated sets: your website and online marketing. Everything else is basically a subset of that. For example, e-commerce is a subset of your website, and it has an online marketing enabled. So you know, in the past, it was enough just to have a really good website that, you know, you could put up there, and you do, you know, you'll optimize it once and it's fine, and you'll you know, get a good blog, and that'll get you up to the top. That's no longer the case. You really need to be right on top of your website these days. You need to make sure that you are engaged with your website, that it's not dormant, that it maintains a freshness. And that you are really engaged and use your website. You use it as your online real estate, really. And this is particularly important for international markets, where you are perhaps less well known, where it's harder to visit you. And so in what way can someone find you or interact with you? The only way really they can these days is through your website and through online marketing. So I guess I wanted to bring out one big aspect and the key aspect of an online world, which is that it is intensely customer or searcher centric. So it puts the person searching, the customer, for example, at the center. And your job in sales and marketing is to interact on all those little black arrows between customer and customer, customer to company on the right-hand side of your screen there of today. And that's what international online marketing is. But your company needs to be able to be found and to be understood online. And that's what these localized websites are going to be about. I guess the other point about this slide is that it's no longer up to the company to decide in what way it's going to be found, in what, I want to only be found in this way. It doesn't work anymore because people want things, they want to find things as they want it, they want to understand them in their language, they want to interact and the way that they want to on the platform they want to as they go ahead. The best way that I have to explain any of this really, and that online customer-centric aspect, is really to go back to some basics and just talk a little bit about search engines. There are lots of different search engines in the world. The global leader by far is Google, about 75% market share. If you're in China, though, you don't really want to use Google. You want to use Baidu, for example. South Korea, you might want to use Naver. Russia, you probably want to use Yandex. But all of them share that one characteristic, that they're customer-centric. Even the Baidu is customer searcher-centric. And what does that mean for your websites? It means that you can't just use your domestic website to replicate and go global. You can't just use this one thing to expand everywhere. Because, Google, search engines everywhere are basically localized. They're going to take the point of view of the searcher. They're searcher-centric. So if I'm in Germany, I'm going to go on to google.de and I'm going to search in German. And if you don't have something that is relevant for me, that Google decides is relevant for me sitting in Germany, Google's not going to put your website up there. So don't think of Google as one massive US company that can get you everywhere in the world. It can't. Google is like over 190 different Googles. Each one is customer searcher centric to that area or that country. I could put it the other way around. Just take my German example. Let's say you're a German company and you've got a German website and you want to target the US market. What's one of the first things you're going to do? You're going to create a US website. So the same is the other way around, because you in Germany, you know that your American customer, your prospect, is going to search in American English. He's not going to search in German. And even if he is, Google's not going to think that you're relevant. Same for you. One of the key aspects of that is localization of keywords, this notion of keyword optimization. Here's an example of the word car. And if you are targeting the Mexican market and you are using a Spanish word coche for car, less than 1/3 of people in Mexico will search on that term. So you've already limited yourself by not using the right word to less than 1/3 of people searching for that word. So that's an example of localization and keywords. And the next example is something that Samantha and I did. On the left, you have Samantha's homepage, google.com, squeakless dog toys. And on the right-hand side, you have me, google.co.uk, because I'm sitting in the UK, squeakless dog toys. We took this example because we thought it was the most relevant thing for all of us sitting at home, working from home at the moment. What do we not want to have interrupting our webinars? We do not want to have the dog barking or a squeaky toy. So there you go. But they're very different examples. Samantha's first one's chewy.com, amazon.com, freedompoolharness.com. I've got Time for Pause, amazon.co.uk, UK News, Yahoo, Pet Forums, etc. Totally different results. Because what's relevant for me in the UK, judged by Google, is not relevant for Samantha in Florida, as judged by Google. So in conclusion, I've listed 10 criteria here on the right. These are the 10 criteria that make up a localized website. It's not just about translation. You can't just translate your website and think you've done it. You need to be hosted optimally. You need to have the right regulatory requirements. You need to have the right content management system. All of those things make up a good localized website. Most of all, they are customer centric. So they are centered on your prospective and existing clients internationally. So to answer the question at the beginning here, why do exporters need localized websites? They need localized websites. You, North Carolina exporters, need localized websites because the world is online. We talked about nearly 5 billion people out of 7.5 billion are online. You know that's good news for you as a small, medium-sized company because you know that your existing clients and your prospects are all online. You know where to find them. The other point is prepare for the rebound. The rebound will happen. Don't know what shape it'll be, but it'll happen. In order to be prepared for that, in order to make sure that you are ready in the starting gate, you need online tools for that. So with that adieu, I'm going to pass now to Samantha to talk about how exporters use localized websites today. And we're going to use some examples. Samantha?
Yeah, thank you, Susanna. So depending what your goals are internationally, the localized websites can be tip and tailored. So it doesn't matter if you're B2C, B2B, or even B2G, localized websites can be helpful for your business. So for example, maybe you're looking to recruit new distributors or support existing distributors, reach new markets, or even just establish a presence so you can be perceived as trustworthy and credible. Localized websites can do all of that. So in our first example, I'm going to talk about a company called Bulman Products. And this first example is a great demonstration of how a company used localized websites to change their business model. So Bulman Products is a company that does business in multiple markets with a ton of different distributors and hundreds of products. They had a few problems solved by having localized websites. Like they didn't really like that their international customers bought products through their distributors, and they had no clue who Bulman was. So by using localized websites, customers now find Bulman through their localized online presence and then find out who their respective distributor is on their website. So Bulman knows their customers and their customers know them. In the next example is a Florida company called, oh, and that's Anne, sorry. We do have a case study on our website if you want to check that out. Then our next example is a company called Avionics Support Group. It's a Florida company who they now have 7 localized websites to help them grow internationally. But Hugo first came to us because he needed websites for Mexico and China to begin with. ASG sells super technical products to airlines. And in China specifically, they had really great sales reps, but they didn't really understand the technical aspects of their products. So with the localized websites, the sales reps were able to better sell to these airlines that just wanted to find out more about what ASG was actually selling. And now actually Hugo goes to these countries that he doesn't speak the language of. Like he only speaks Spanish and English, which is, great, but not really helpful if you're going to Japan or the UAE. And he can just pull up the localized websites and the airlines can take a look at them, the airline reps, and really get an idea as to what they're selling and what their products are. Using these websites, their exports grew from 2.5 to 5 million. And we have a phenomenal case study on our website that you can take a look at with Hugo talking about how these websites work for him. Then the last case study that I'm going to review is a company called Amsoil. Some of you might know them. It's a global company who sells synthetic oil. And what they really wanted to do, their objective was twofold. So the first part was they have a ton of distributors all over the world, and they wanted to control the branding, the messaging, so that it wasn't up to the distributors. And they also wanted a tool to help distributors sell their products. And not only that, but they wanted Amsoil to be a household name. They want people to know who Amsoil is. So that was their main objective. It was to get that trust and credibility and just that knowledge of the market. So we did that through localized websites and also localized marketing campaigns through social media and search engine optimization. So through all of that, they increased their sales, their brand recognition. They actually were able to recruit new distributors through these websites, and they grew their business in their top markets like Australia, France, Latin America, and the UK.
Samantha, I'm just going to interrupt really quickly here because I'd like to launch a poll. Make sure, you know, just to see what our audience has. You know, what are your top target markets for North Carolina? I was only allowed to put 5 choices here, so I apologize if you're not all included there. But I thought, because Canada is so important for a lot of you, I thought I'd sketch that one out specifically. But actually, I'm seeing that a lot of you are very interested in Europe as well. And maybe I should have detailed some of the Middle East. So, but there's a big spread of interest, I'd say. But Canada is certainly one of them. But I'm delighted to see that a lot of you are looking at farther afield, Asia Pacific, Europe, Latin America, all getting a very strong response. Thank you very much indeed. I'm going to close the poll now. Thanks for responding to that, and give the talk back to Samantha. Samantha.
Excellent. Thanks, Susanna, and thank you everyone for answering the poll. So now we're going to talk about the North Carolina Online Global Program, which in this program you have 2 options that I'm just going to really briefly review. The first option is option A, a 2-market expansion with a limited scope. So in this case, it would be 12 web pages and 2,000 words for each website. So by the end of option A, you'll have 2 websites completely localized for your top 2 target markets. So in this example to the right, you'll have one in German for Germany and one in French for France. These websites will be based off of your US site, but we will go through a whole localization process, including proper domain names, local hosting, SEO keyword research, industry-specific translation, regulatory compliance, and just so much more. So by having these websites, they'll help you be found, be understood, and be easier to do business with in your top markets. In terms of budget, option A costs $12,000, and with the help of the EDPNC, it can only cost $6,000 to qualifying companies using the $6,000 step grant. You can learn more about the grants talking to the EDPNC, and we also have a page on our website dedicated to North Carolina detailing the whole scope of work if you want to learn more.
Samantha, thank you. I'm going to launch another poll. Would you like to take advantage of the North Carolina Online Global Program, option A? Is this something that you would like us to contact you with? Would you like us to contact you now, or within the next few weeks? I can see that a lot of you are thinking about this for the next week, and the next month, which is great. And we will be getting in touch with you very quickly about that. Thank you very much indeed. So Samantha, let's go on to the next one then.
All right. So the second option is for website localization is option B. And option B is anything above and beyond the scope of work from option A. So maybe your company is looking for a website redesign, or maybe you want to add international e-commerce, or maybe you only want one country but a huge scope of work like 50 pages and 30,000 words. Then option B would probably best suit you. The budget for option B is completely dependent on the scope of work, which we would talk through with the company in a sort of fact finder. But the EDPNC does provide the $6,000 step grant for qualified companies.
And again, Samantha, let's just see, if anyone would like us to get in touch with you within the next week, within the next month, to look at an option B. if you've got some views on sort of, I want an e-commerce site, or I want a bigger site than your option A, get us a hold of you. We're happy to give you a call, discuss the options, and see how we can help in any way. And thank you very much for responding for that. That's a huge response. Thank you. Wow. Okay. Samantha, on to the next slide. Thank you very much for that poll.
Excellent. Perfect. Okay, so today you've heard a lot of information about website localization and how having that local online presence can help your business. But then there's that second half of the semicircle, the online marketing. And if you want to learn a little bit more about international online marketing in this time, please join us May 7th at 10 o'clock Eastern Time for our next webinar, the North Carolina Online Global Programs and Grants, Business Online Marketing to help you grow your sales, brand, and business in the COVID-19 era. I know it's a mouthful, but we are going to give you a ton of really useful information, really actionable, helpful tips moving forward in this time. And just to close out the webinar, please look after yourself, look after your loved ones, look after your communities. The EDPNC and IBT Online, we are here to help. We want you guys to not only survive in this time, but also thrive. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions. We're always happy to help.
Thank you very, very much, Samantha. We're going to go straight into question time now. We've got a little bit of time left. I promised you all you'd be back at your desks or your at-home desks within the hour. There are quite a few questions actually. One of the first ones is actually for Mike. Mike, if you could, Mike, how should I start? Should I be contacting IBT or should I be contacting the EDPNC?
Good. That's a good question. So if you're going to utilize STEP, you need to have the STEP process, get that put in place first. So reach out to EDPNC first, and we'll walk you through that process. It's very quick and easy. We do that in-house. We walk you through that process and then get you going with that. Okay,
great. I have another question for you, Mike, which is this a short-term program assistance, or will you be doing this longer term as well? For the economic partnership?
Yeah, also a good question. So the STEP grant that we have, they're one-year programs, and we are applying for it again for next year. So we hope we're planning to do it again year after year. The $6,000 amount is only for this current year, but actually, because the way that STEP has written this out, that's until that funding, either through the end of September of this year or until the funding runs out, which could run into next year as well. But then after that, the way it's currently structured in the next step year, it's a maximum of $3,000. Whether or not the SBA will change that amount, we don't know yet.
Right.
But we intend it to be an ongoing program.
A related question to that again for you, Mike. Related to that, how are you allocating the STEP grant money? Is it on a first come, first served basis?
It is on a first come, first served basis, but we have a larger grant than normal this year. So right now there's actually plenty of funding in it. So, but reach out to us, and it is first come, first served. So.
Okay. Samantha, I have a question. There's a question for you, if you like, which is someone says, I have international website. I've tried international websites. I can't even register their domain names. Can you help me even registering domain names?
Yes, of course. So in the process of website localization, our technical team can help you purchase them. I know some countries have restrictions, and our technical team can definitely help you there.
Okay, terrific. I'm going to answer one or two questions on the more technical side as well. There's quite a few questions about both Shopify and content management systems. I'll answer first the ones about content management systems. We're basically agnostic. We don't mind if it's WordPress or Magento or WooCommerce or Expression Engine. We're not wed to one or the other. What we try and do just to make sure that life is easy as possible for you as a company is to mirror as much as possible of what you've already got. So if your current website is based on a WordPress, we'll use WordPress. And if you've got a WooCommerce enablement, we'll do the same for that. Again, if equally with regards to the question about Shopify, that does not make localization harder at all. There are a lot of iframes you can use. There's a lot of automatic downloads like an iframe that you can use that, because believe me, you're not the first to want to go international with a Shopify. So that's something that we have quite a bit of experience in, and we're easy to do that for that. And again, there's a lot of questions actually about integrating international e-commerce into existing website. Again, this is not a difficult task. That would apply to an option B, by the way. An e-commerce site would be an option B. What you need to get sorted as well, and I'm sure that Mike and his team can help you with, is to make sure that you've got logistics and payments all set up to operate internationally. If that's the case, the website then comes up, and we have, again, a lot of experience with that. Another question I'm being asked about is about option A, and Samantha, perhaps you could answer this one. In option A, 2 websites, can those be for radically different countries? Can I have different alphabets? I guess what they mean is, can I have like a French and China, for example?
Yes, absolutely. We've done websites in over 20 languages in over 40 countries, and it can be one completely different from the other. And actually, the content within the websites can also be different from one another. So if you have specific product lines that sell really well in China, for example, and then a whole different set of product lines that sells really well in Colombia, then the websites can be reflective of that.
Yeah, just to make clear as well, yes, it is IBT Online that does the work. We don't subcontract anything. There's nothing outsourced. We work directly with your company. Our technical team works with your tech team. We do not outsource anything at all. We work directly with you, and one of our key objectives is to make sure that we have brand consistency. So we really are producing the same website internationally and respectful of your US home website. Another question I have is about digital compliance. I think I'm going to be looking at that one because that's one of my bugbears. All of our websites are digitally compliant, including anything we do in Europe. They are all totally GDPR compliant. We provide you cookie and privacy policies and all the opt-ins that you need, saving you quite a bit of lawyer fees. And we'll do that in all the necessary languages. We will do that for all international markets, even when it's beyond, above the standard asked for in those countries. So I guess we have a founding belief that privacy is a good thing for that. Samantha, I have another question, which perhaps you'd like to answer, which is about distributors and the fact that my distributor in Spain or my distributor in a country manages my website. Should I take it back from them?
Yeah, I mean, best practice, we always suggest that you, the company, is the owner of the websites and controls your marketing, just to keep the brand consistent throughout. That's what we always suggest in best practice. So if it's possible, that would be great. Because these localized websites can serve as a tool for your distributors. We don't want to step on anybody's toes. but yes, we highly suggest that you take control of your own online presence.
Okay. And Samantha, perhaps another one for you. When you're looking at a place like Latin America, should you have lots of different country-specific pages or one regional website? Which works best if you're working in Colombia, Mexico?
Yeah, that's another great question. I mean, it totally depends on the company, because if you have a specific, if your top 2 target markets are Colombia and Mexico, then we highly suggest that you have one website for Mexico and another website for Colombia, just because the search terms can be different. You would want local domain names, local hosting. It would just be absolutely optimal. But if those two markets are just 2 of many or 2 of a few top markets, it would be a step in the right direction to just have like a Latin America website in Spanish for the LATAM region. It wouldn't hurt. It just won't be as effective as having localized websites for specific countries.
So in short, we do a lot of websites with a URL with a .lat for that serve the entire of Latin America. And as Samantha said, that kind of has a shotgun effect as opposed to a laser effect, but it's still hitting your main markets. And we optimize it for the Mexican Spanish or the Colombian Spanish, the main one that you want to target. And and that works very effectively if you don't have the resources to do all of them. There's a lot of questions about this slide deck. I will remind you, you will all get a recording of the slide deck in your inboxes. I think it's on Monday morning. So Monday morning, check your inboxes. They may go to your spam box, but if you could please check, and you will be getting a recording of the webinar. And we're always there also to reach out, and if you want to discuss anything further, if you had anything further for that. We said we'd keep it to the 15 minutes. We're 1 minute over, which I'm really pleased about. We did. I would like to thank Mike and all of his team at the Economic Partnership Development Corporation of North Carolina, and all the North Carolina companies that have attended, and the team there. Thank you all for attending. That's fantastic. We look forward to seeing you all online and helping you to survive and thrive and do great business with effective online tools. Thank you also, Samantha, and my IBT online colleagues for helping me with this webinar. We wish you all the best, survive and thrive, and see you all online. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.